Add to stream. This is what you guys needed. I see it. Rest in peace, Nick, says Jay. Yep, I think you're right. I think I'm resting in peace now. Can you guys hear me with this? Maybe I needed to add myself. Oh, there's too much of me. Okay, I think that works now. What's up, you guys? I'm sorry about that. I'm what you call an idiot sometimes. Okay, I had to add myself to the stream. Okay. Sorry about that. How's everybody doing? Thank you for going through technical difficulties with me. I apologize for that. I'll try and fix that. Well, now I know. Now I know that that was an issue. So I was sitting there having a great conversation myself. You guys should have heard it. I'm sure it was just so intelligent for anybody who would have heard that. But anyways, awesome. Okay, what's up, you guys? Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing? Thank you guys for sitting through that with me. Let's get into the markets. Let's talk about what's going on today. Because honestly, I was saying before, I guess when I was talking to myself there, I was saying that I think that the markets right now, they don't have a ton of trading setups for me in my trading, but we're going to double check and just go through some stuff to see if there's anything that maybe catches my eye, and we'll take a look and go through it. Just say my name, Mukhtar. Is that right? Mukhtar. If I say your name incorrectly, I apologize, but we'll go on with it. Okay, so let's look at the heat map as we usually do, and we'll take a look at what's going on in the world. So, okay, so for currencies today, it seems like we had a little bit of a flipperoo on the old what happened yesterday. Yesterday we had, New Zealand, CAD, and Aussie being strong, and now we can see them giving it back a little bit of the gains there. So we can see the Aussie coming down a bit, the CAD coming or sort of flattening out, and then you have the New Zealand giving back as well. On top of that, you also have a weak yen today. And it seems like the Swiss franc actually has some strength today, which is kind of a peculiar one. So maybe we can take a look at some Swiss franc pairs. The euro also looking a bit strong here as well. So that's nothing new. We've had some euro strength for the last few weeks. So we'll take a look at some euro pairs and some other ones as well. Pound seems to be sort of flat, and the US dollar seems to be a little bit flat as well. So we'll take a look at all of that today here on the stream. Phil says that he shorted Aussie CAD 2 hours ago. Hey, let me know. Comment if you have any trades open right now. Comment them in the stream. Maybe I'll pop up some of those like that, because I've got these cool tools that I can do some cool stuff with it. I can put our logo in the top right there. I can put this banner on the screen, which is kind of cool looking. And there's a lot more coming. So these streams will slowly get better. If you keep watching with us, eventually it'll actually look kind of nice. So let's look at it. So let's jump into some stuff here. So going off of what we just talked about, get some Aussie and New Zealand currency pairs probably moving. So let's start with the Aussie dollar today. A little bit of a one that we don't usually start with, but we're changing it up. So let's full screen this here, and we'll take a bit of a look here at AUD USD. So the Australian dollar here topping out around 0.78. We saw some rejection here, selling off, and then we've tried to come back, and so far seen a little bit of sell pressure. Let's actually take a look, you guys, at AUD USD on the retail sentiment indicator. We'll go over to the A1 Trading website. Just go to over to my website, a1trading.com, if you want to do this, and you head over to retail Forex sentiment. All right, so on the retail Forex sentiment page, we get access to a whole bunch of stuff. But one of the things that we're going to look at is we're going to go scroll down here, and we're going to look for AUD USD, because I want to see what sentiment is like on this currency pair. So right now, from what we can see, there's a 78% short bias in terms of positions held by retail traders. So we will basically, so we're looking at AUD USD. 78% of retail traders are short on this, according to myfxbook.com's data. So a lot more people are short on this currency pair than people who are long. So when we look at this, we have to take it with a grain of salt. We have to say, okay, well, if most retail traders are trying to short this thing, I probably would be more in favor of being on the long side. Not every single time is that like that, but a general rule of thumb for me is to avoid chasing with the crowd or anything like that. It's not necessarily like the crowd can be right sometimes. Like, you know, maybe this was a sell-off at the top here and it was a good place to get short. But for me, as a trend trader, when I'm looking at AUD USD, I'm looking mostly for long trade setups. We're looking at the 4-hour chart. We got some good, healthy uptrend structure that I like a lot. So if we were to, draw in some trend lines here, if anything, if I'm looking at AUD USD, if I'm trading this thing, I'm looking at this saying, well, pullbacks to key zones of support, that's sort of my game here. If I'm seeing something like this play out, if I'm seeing a little bit more of a dip, something like this, could see some nice little moves there to the upside, just running with that trend against the retail crowd, right? AL Knight says he's riding GBP JPY. Suba says he is currently long on oil. Khan says selling AU and NU. Maggie says GU short. Denise looking at dollar yen and pound yen today. Thank you, Denise. Hello, traders all over the world. Morning, afternoon, and evening to all in South Africa. It's a Freedom Day today. Therefore, it's National Public Holiday. Hey, thank you for the information. I didn't know it was a public holiday in South Africa today. Long pound yen and pound dollar runner. Thank you guys for that. I just asked for some of your current trades, and I wanted to shout out some of the people in the chat helping us out today, making this stream flow. So thank you for that. And then we also got AJ who says long on EU and AU. So cool. All right. So also Flo points out that in 1 hour we have US news. So let's go look actually. Well, we'll come back to that. We'll see if there's any news on Forex Factory or anything like that. So we can just pull that up. Okay, so AUD USD. When I'm looking at this currency pair, when I know that most retail traders are short on this thing, they think it's going down, that gives me a bias to probably be more interested in long setups. But I'm not just going to take a long setup anywhere. I'm going to look for areas on the chart that give me a little bit more of a chance of a good risk reward. So for me, that might mean, hey, we drop down to this level. Maybe I'm looking for something like this, a move higher off of that. That's just a simple sort of structure trade that it looks decent to me on the Aussie dollar. As always, these are not, me telling you what to do with your money. I'm just sharing my thoughts. But I think Aussie dollar, if anything, I would expect that the Aussie dollar here on the big scale, we look at the daily chart really quick, you guys, check this out. We're in a strong uptrend. Things are continuing to improve globally, which has really been a good thing for Australia's economy, especially as they are a little bit more of a not a riskier economy. Well, I guess it is a little bit more of a risky economy compared to the United States, which is this big, ginormous entity. When you talk about smaller economies that are more subject to it's like smaller boats on the ocean, right? They can whip back and forth a lot easier than the ginormous Titanic of the US, right? And they also have the chance to move faster. So they can actually, Australia's economy could outpace the US as it has, done really well here on the currency exchange. You can see, the price of Australian dollars is going up relative to US dollars. So if that is set to continue, if the trend continues, it's very possible that we could see a move back to major resistance or major supply at 0.8, right up here. We'll draw in a supply zone and talk about that. Now, I do want to say also, we are testing a current supply zone right here. So if I'm looking at AUD USD and I'm thinking about trading this thing, if I'm saying I want to be long, there is resistance. No doubt there is some resistance that price has got to get through. So let's look at the 4-hour chart again. And now we've got our resistance levels marked from the daily chart. We can tighten that up just a bit, make it look nice. There it is. Okay. And then, of course, you've got the previous high. We'll go ahead and tighten that up as well. And there we go. All right. So now we have a little bit more of a full picture on AUD USD. From what I see, yes, we're in an overall uptrend, but we've got some short-term levels of resistance to keep in mind. You've got this level here, which 2 times held really nicely as a seller's area, actually 3 times, right? And now is testing a 4th. For me, if I was to trade this thing, I would expect that if the overall uptrend continues, we're probably going to make our way eventually up to 0.8 again to retest that. If that happens, if I'm right about that, there might be trades such as this. Let's say we start to see the break and that this major level gets violated, like sellers are just beat here. That would be a really good sign for bulls, in my opinion. So something like this could give me a trade setup that I would personally be really interested in looking at. So if I were to take this trade, let's say this is the swing low, I would probably put a stop somewhere underneath there, measure it up and say, okay, this gives me something like a 2.5 to 1. If I was putting a target on my trade, but if I was trailing stops, it's still nice because you have plenty of room to expand higher should you be right about that, right? And that's just going back to the previous high. If the trend really continues on that daily chart that we looked at for a minute, if the trend really continues, you would probably even expect price to break through this level as well. Because remember, you guys, we have to, if you're going to be a technical trader, if you're looking at the charts, if you're using historical patterns and market structure to your advantage, one of the things about trends is that trends are what? They're like the simplest version is higher lows, higher highs. So if we're right here on this process, right? If we're like right around here on this process, if price is going to head back to the previous high in an uptrend, what you expect probably, if it's going to be a really continuing, if the trend is really going to continue, you probably wouldn't expect it just to come back and tap the top again. You'd probably expect it to continue higher. And that's where some of the best trend breakouts occur. So, I'll give you an example. Check this out. You're looking at AUD USD at this time. You say, well, if you just said, well, I'm just going to sell it at resistance when it gets back up there. Let's say you bought the pullback right around here, price rallies, and you say, great, excellent trade. I'm going to just take profit there. Sometimes if by doing that, you miss the real nice moves of the trend, which are the breakouts, the extensions past those previous highs. Does that make sense to you guys? I don't know. I just wanted to cover that because I used to think like when I was trading a few years ago, I would always take profits. I would cut my profits really quickly as soon as it came into a major resistance point. But the truth is, if a trend is really healthy, if it's really going to continue, you probably even, at least how I like to trade, I like to anticipate eventually a break of supply and a continuation to the upside. Does that make sense? Just my thoughts there on AUD USD today. We spent a little bit extra time and talked about trend following there for a minute. So we'll keep going. We'll move on to something else. Sheila asks about gold. So we'll take a look at gold together. Don't you worry. We always look at gold. Everybody wants to know about gold. So we will certainly take some time to look at it. We'll get there in just a moment. Bear with me. I want to knock out some of the currencies first, and then we'll take a look at gold as well. It's going down. I'm yelling timber. Okay, yeah. So let's see what we can look at next. So we looked at AUD USD. Real quick, we'll just touch on Nzdusd USD because these ones are kind of like cousins. And we're going to start fresh because that's all sorts of messed up. All right, so on Nzdusd USD, real quick, similar concept. We'll repeat ourselves here a bit. You've got pretty much the same looking area of demand. I like this area. If price were to drop there again, was a great buy for those of you guys who caught that. Excellent play. I caught some NZD JPY at this time, which is highly correlated to this currency pair, of course, NZD USD. Those two move very similar, not always, but in a lot of cases. Caught some of the bullishness on NZD JPY, but here on NZD USD, we have major support down here at 0.7. At the higher ends, we definitely have, of course, the previous top. And I know this is the very simple versions of supply and demand, but that's really like all I use when I'm marking levels. Is I just keep it as simple as I can. I just mark major spots on the chart, and then I keep them in mind as I go lower time frame. So here we are looking at the 4-hour chart. And so you can kind of see it looks like price, just based on what we drew on that daily chart, it looks like price is making its way up to this. And the path of least resistance seems to be a move up to 0.73 at that previous resistance where we found sellers previously. So from there, though, where do we go? Do we just anticipate a ginormous crash from there? Well, I would say no. I would say no. Don't assume ever when it's in a trend that supply is going to, if I'm in an uptrend, I take supply with a grain of salt, right? If I'm in a downtrend, I take demand with a grain of salt. Because again, if something is in a uptrend, it's increasing in demand. It's going to break through supply levels naturally. And vice versa. If we're in a downtrend, it's going to break through demand and supply is going to continue to sort of hold. So my thought here is when I look at NZD USD, my trade here, if I was looking at this thing, I'd be saying, I want to see it break. If it breaks, great. Fresh demand here could lead us up to the previous high again. And there might even be an extension past that. So that's how I look at a currency pair like this, is I'm looking at, what's the trend on those higher time frames, and I'm looking for opportunities to go with that trend and not fight it. Does that make sense to you guys? Does anybody agree with me on that, or, see eye to eye on that, or do you just disagree with me? I don't know. It's fine if you disagree. It's a YouTube is a cool place for people to agree, disagree, and at least share thoughts. So that's what I'm looking at on NZD USD and AUD USD. So let's look at another one. We'll go back to a major for a moment. We'll take a look at Euro USD today, see what's going on with this one. Tried to sell off a little bit here, a little bit of sell pressure there on the old euro dollar, but then we immediately found buy pressure here at the start of the New York session. So when I'm looking at this thing, I have no trades on it right now. I've talked about wanting to get short should we continue a bit higher, but this is one that is just it's not at the top of my radar anymore. It was, for a little bit, especially when we started to break underneath that 200-day moving average. I like that long-term indicator for the trend, but now that we've broken back above and we haven't really seen a strong signal by sellers anytime recently, this is one that I'm just not super interested in trading at this time. Now you can see I tried to take a sell here, thinking that this level would hold. It did not. I ended up taking a stop loss on that, and it happens. But I haven't traded it since. So I if anything, I think that the euro dollar looks sideways for a while, and maybe eventually turns back to the downside. But again, that is based off of just what I think fundamentally. So I think that the US probably will continue to outpace the euro. There has been some bullish news for the euro in the last few weeks. We've seen sort of a renewed optimism for vaccine rollouts, for GDP growth, etc. Right? So there's been a little bit of that going on, and there's just sort of like optimism for the European area to sort of bounce back. It's been underperforming, so that was what caused this move. Don't get it twisted. A lot of times you'll just hear people saying, "Oh, it went down because it double topped, or because it hit resistance, and that is the reason it went down." No, that's not why it went down. The euro depreciated against the US dollar for a while because the US was sort of winning the vaccine rollout war. At least during this time, it was perceived. We did this the other day, but I'm going to do it briefly again. During this time, Europe was perceived as winning the vaccine rollout big time, right? The United States was lagging by quite a bit. Well, that flipped. The story flipped. And this is what caused the market to go down. It is not just technical analysis that drives price. It is real world stuff that drives the price of the euro against the dollar. So we saw the market going down because that sort of flipped. We saw Europe lagging in the vaccine rollout area. They struggled, with lockdowns, with stuff popping back up. And now we see a little bit of that happening in Japan as well. But now, we see Europe having some renewed optimism, some positivity come in. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean for me that I'm just going to go guns blazing and buy the euro, because I'm still bullish on the US dollar. And I'm sort of, at this point, I'm not bullish on the euro, but I'm just not super incredibly bearish for right now. So when I'm looking at this thing, if anything, I think that this thing could have the potential to move sideways with that fresh bullish optimism on the euro, at least recently. I think it is possible that we could rally and continue to make moves up to something like 1.215. But for me, this probably, if I'm looking at this, I think the most likely scenario is that we get some sideways motion, meaning that price probably drops a little bit here. Maybe buyers come in. I think that this is a little bit less obvious than it was during this time. During this time, I loved selling the euro dollar. Had two great swing trades on that one. I also had some great trades on other euro crosses. Euro Aussie was one of my best currency pairs so far this year in 2021. Selling the euro, just being a bear on the European economy for that time, was a great trade. So I'm staying on the sidelines with the euro right now. But don't worry, there are plenty of other opportunities in the markets that I'm looking at currently. So we will look at some other things. We'll take a look at the cousin of the old Euro USD. Talk about this for a moment. Talk about USD CHF. I'm about break even on this trade that I took yesterday. So I took this trade long on dollar Swiss, going with this uptrend. So this is sort of my favoring of the US dollar. One of the other things that we have to mention with the Swiss franc is that the SNB, I've said it a few times, but I'll repeat it for you guys. The Swiss National Bank has basically said that they want to do some currency intervention. They want to purposely devalue their currency to have a little bit more of an edge in the trade war game. So that is actually favorable to my idea here with the dollar Swiss rising. My thought there is that I think that the U.S. has had some good numbers this week. We'll see if there's anything super impactful for the U.S. dollar. I'm going to pull up Forex Factor on my other screen really quick, just because I want to see if there's anything major coming out for today. Okay, we got CAD news at 4, Aussie news tonight. Okay. Yeah. So when I'm looking at this, when I'm looking at dollar Swiss, I'm just saying, I took a small profit right around here. Or price bounced a little bit the first time. I called this out in a video, and then price ended up reversing, but I took a small profit there on the way back. So now I tried to jump back into the trade. We'll see if this one can work. And it'd be great if it did. We'll see if it does. If it doesn't, it's all good too. We can find another opportunity. But I like this 50% retracement off of the highs. And I also like this demand zone. And I like the fact that we are poking above the 200-day moving average. And I think that if the dollar against the Swiss franc is going to hold, it probably wants to do something soon as we sort of give back some of this pullback. The DXY itself has been pulling back across the board. You can see here we are looking at it on the daily chart, and you can see we have had some higher lows, but if buyers are going to step up, they've got to do it pretty soon, because if this thing starts to break lower, I think it could cause sort of a landslide back to the previous low. So that's what I'm thinking. So that's what I'm looking at. Do you look at the DXY with this pair? That's what I'm doing right now. Yes, I like to just look at the DXY just as a general view of what the US dollar is up to. So yeah, so we did euro dollar, we did dollar Swiss franc. Anything on dollar yen today? We'll take a look at this one. Dollar yen getting a little bit of a bullish bounce here. We're gonna start fresh because this thing is looking ugly. Okay, so some demand coming in on the dollar against the yen here today. Nice little bullish bounce there today so far on dollar yen. One of the things that I will say about the yen right now is I believe that they're struggling with some lockdowns. They're struggling with the pandemic, and we actually see that also in Swiss franc against the yen right now. I believe this one is moving up today. I looked at that one earlier today. CHF JPY. So this one moving up to tag resistance again. Question is, can it break? And if so, there might be some continuation. But I think we're seeing Japan right now having a little bit of trouble with the lockdowns and the yen suffering a little bit because of that. So if we go back to USD JPY, take a look at this one, we see a bit of a bounce there. Nice little rally for the dollar off of that low. I believe this was, we'll see if it was anywhere near a major level. Yeah, it was at the 38.2. I did not take that trade because personally, I didn't really like that. I didn't see any, like if I extend this out, I don't see any like signs of congestion there previously. So I didn't take any trades here. I chose the dollar Swiss, which is not doing as hot as the dollar yen because the yen again has that lockdown issue and concerns there rising. So, this one doing well here. If you caught this trade, then congrats. But for me, I am sitting out on the sidelines for dollar yen for the time being. Also got a nice little trend line there. So price tagging the trend line, tagging 38.2 and nice overall uptrend. So honestly, didn't quite fit my criteria for an entry, but some of you guys might have caught that move. And from that 38.2, it is already up, 60 pips, which is pretty good. So nice. We'll take a look at it. Let's just drop down to the 1 hour chart. That's the 2 hour chart. Let's look at the 1 hour chart for a moment. See some nice little breakout concepts here, right? You've got this downward trend line, and then bam, on that 1 hour chart, you got the nice solid green bar. That's what you love to see if you're a bull. Nice little green bar breaking through the highs there, breaking through the lower high concepts here with this downtrend, and bam, shooting up higher. So where do we go with dollar yen? Well, I think that if dollar yen really gets serious about this bullish move, I honestly think that just like dollar Swiss franc, I think it has potential to make its way back to the previous swing high here at 111. So keeping an eye on that personally, as I am with the dollar yen. Sorry about my charts. We'll get them all fixed up. But that right now seems to be the story with dollar yen. So I'm keeping an eye on that personally. If it doubles back, maybe I'd get involved. But again, I'm really liking the dollar Swiss franc right now. Pound yen, we absolutely will take a look at the pound yen. No problem. We'll pull this one up and we can see what's going on with the old pound against the Japanese yen. So this one did me dirty. I talked about this the other day on how this one basically, I got into this trade, it stopped me out, and then it reversed hard on me. Unfortunately, I got stopped out, but I know some other members caught the trade and held on to it. Look at this. Look at this. I got in here. You can see the little broker execution there. And I got out on a stop loss right around here. That is sad. Hashtag sad. That's just being real with you guys. Like, it happens to everybody. The thing is, like if you're trading and you put a stop loss on your trade, the unfortunate reality of the market sometimes is that, you can put a stop here and price can come all the way, down just far enough to get you tagged out and then reverse. And that just happens. Like you're going to have people who say, oh, well, you just need to look at market manipulation strategies, or, oh, you just need to know how to trade like the banks or the institutions. And they have like a perfect answer for it. But the reality is, it doesn't matter what your strategy is, whatever you do, I'm telling you, doesn't matter. There are times where the market just does you dirty, and it's okay. It happens. It's all right. Why didn't you re-enter, said Jared? Well, actually, good question. I didn't re-enter because I just didn't really see an opportunity to do so as easily. So, price shot down like this. It did come back. And I had another trade on at the same time. So I just was like, you know what? I'm not gonna jump back into this one. If it gives me another chance, then maybe I will. And who knows, maybe pound yen will still make a move back to the downside. For me, I really liked the idea of getting long here as well. So when I took this trade, I liked this zone. It seemed like we had some nice support zone. And honestly, I was right about that. Just wasn't able to stay into the trade, unfortunately. So, my stop loss was actually pretty lenient too. Like, I wasn't incredibly tight with it. Because I know some people are going to, they'll think like, oh, well, Nick, you took the trade here, but you just got tagged out before it reversed because your stop loss was in a bad place. I mean, I guess, yes, it was in a bad place if you're looking in hindsight. But in the moment, I took this trade and I said, okay, I'm going to give it some room to breathe. I don't want to put my stop too close, but my plan was this. Let's say I enter here. My plan was that if this happened, that I would re-enter, but I wanted to re-enter at 148 in the 148 somewhere. That was my thought. So I said, if this breaks, then no worries, but I'll try and look to re-enter around here. So that was my plan when I was looking at pound yen. I did not re-enter when it started to go up because I just said, hey, you know what? It's okay. I don't want to chase my way back into this because, again, hindsight is 2020. So anyways, looking at pound yen, where do we go from here? Well, on the 4-hour chart, I think that, for those of you guys who caught the trade, then we could be headed back up to 152. Honestly, that seems like the first major spot of a target. If the pound yen stays strong, probably could see price rally up to 152. If it really wants to get going, head back to the previous high at 153.5. And hey, who knows? Maybe if we get some movements like that, maybe there's opportunities on the lower time frames for me to re-enter at some point. But I'm not going to rush it. I'm just going to look for a proper setup if it happens. Happens to the best. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. It does. The truth is, it really does. It doesn't matter how long you do this stuff. There will be times where the market just does you dirty. And that's okay. You don't have to win them all. And even though these annoying things happen, it's just part of it. Would you show us your Lamborghini? I don't have a Lamborghini, but I do have a truck that I call my Lambo. I don't know if you guys have seen that, or I've mentioned a few times in my videos just as a joke, but nah, I'm not a big fan of spending a bunch of money on a car. I'd rather spend a bunch of money on a house. That's at least the plan, is to get a nice house for myself and my family someday. I find that so much more valuable than a nice car personally. Like a nice car, what are you doing? You're just trying to unless you're like a super car advocate, I don't really care for cars very much. I would like to get a Tesla at some point because I think they're really nice. I think they're very, I like cool tech like that. But like a sports car, I just am not I don't know. I'm not so interested. All right, gold, we'll take a look at it. Don't you worry. I bet you if I had $1 for every time people were like, let's look at gold, I think I could buy a gold bar. All right, so let's look at the stuff here. Are you a fan of Wyckoff? Yeah, well, I don't really trade with it, but I know, the spring concepts and stuff like that. Great point by Crispin. Houses appreciate, cars depreciate, stick with houses. That's right. Well, and not to mention, I think that a nice house brings value to you in a lot of ways that a car doesn't, at least in my opinion. Like a house, you can have a family in it. You can invite people over. You can share it with others. And a car is just I don't know. It's more about you and, the rush of it, I guess. I don't know. Anyways, gold here on the 4-hour chart. Still think that price could tag 1810 here, but I am not a super bull on gold. So I've talked about this a few times. With bond yields potentially rising, I'm going to do a very quick version because if you've been here, I've been talking about this a lot. So I'm not going to repeat myself too much. With bond yields rising, the argument against the hedge against inflation, these two go head to head. People either buy bonds or they buy gold. And there's a debate whether or not which one is better. And, in recent history, bonds have done pretty the percentage yield has been very low. But with bond yield rising, there is an argument for people to move their money out of gold and instead buy bonds. Bonds yield money over time. You ever had your grandparent or something give you a bond for your birthday? I had, when I was growing up, my grandma, she would give me government bonds as an investment. So she would buy me bonds or whatever, and I could go cash them in and whatever the deadline is. And there's a yield to that. So every year you get paid some amount. You get paid interest, right? You get a coupon value. When that coupon percentage goes up, people start to flock to bonds instead of gold. And with that rising, I think that trade could continue to play out. So we could see a continued favor of bonds over gold, which could cause something like this to happen, right? Gold to continue lower. That's like the very basic trend that we see going on. So with gold rising from a technical view, things look pretty good for gold right now. Had a nice little, sideways trend breakout. We broke to the upside, continued higher, and I think that has room to rise up to 1810. And hey, maybe even make a push up to 1850. But I think at some point the U.S. dollar potentially gets stronger, and we see bond yields rise, which could cause demand for the US dollar also to rise as well compared to gold. So for me, when I look at gold on the daily chart, we are still bearish on the daily. We're underneath that 200-day moving average. Got a lot of sell pressure there in terms of anytime for me when I'm looking at the bigger picture. If we see, during 2020, a lot of uncertainty in the world, a lot of fear, the pandemic, and lots of thrust into gold. A lot of people buying gold as sort of that safe haven, sort of that hedge, right? Concerns about major inflation. Gold went to the moon, right? Then in 2021, gold has been crushed. There was a lot of people, I remember, like people telling me, go buy gold, but go buy physical gold. Like people who had no idea about markets or trading or anything. They just said, go buy gold because it's going up, right? Similar to how Bitcoin behaves sometimes. People just go buy something just because it's skyrocketing and you don't want to miss out. Well, this is a great example of what happens sometimes when you FOMO buy. If you bought gold up in here, you're sitting here at a major, major loss. If you bought gold at the top, right around now, you are down 14% on your investment. It may not sound like a lot, but gold is it's not like something that, it doesn't move 14% very often. This entire move here in 2020, if we go from, this was a really volatile year for gold, and you can see it moved roughly, go to July, we'll go to December. Well, yeah, so 22% in the year. So like a really, really crazy volatile move for the year was 22%. So, you can just, when something drops by 14% on gold, that's pretty significant. So you just have to be cautious with gold. I wouldn't rush. A lot of times people just want to trade this thing because it moves a lot. Please be careful. There's a lot of people, most people who trade gold and try and get into this because it makes quick money for them, most of them just lose their money. So please be careful when you're looking at gold. So what are your thoughts about Joe's strategy? I like it a lot. I like the way Joe trades. Joe and I have a similar philosophy when it comes to trend following. We have some differences in our trading style, but again, he is one of our coaches for a reason. Everybody who's on our team is somebody that I trust as a trader, somebody who I believe has great experience and brings a lot to the table. So Joe is he's one of our webinar coaches, as well as one of our in-group analysts. So definitely love hearing from Joe, and I watch his webinars quite often just to take thoughts from him. Believe it or not, I don't know everything, so I learn stuff from other people all the time. I'm totally kidding. I definitely don't know everything. Anybody who thinks they know everything in the markets probably does not know how to trade at all. In fact, the best traders I know, every single one of them is like a very modest, down-to-earth sort of person. They're not cocky and full of themselves and, oh, you just need to trade this strategy, right? You get those people on YouTube sometimes. You just got to take it all with a grain of salt. There's a lot of people who come into this thing trading and they think they're hot stuff because they made a little bit of money. And then, but again, short-term gains mean nothing in trading. In trading, what really matters is long-term consistency, long-term producing profits, not becoming a millionaire quickly, not trying to double your account in 3 weeks. I'm talking about long-term, slow and steady, healthy gains that are something that are reliable. That's what we all want, right? It doesn't matter if you can make 10 grand in a week, or you can make 30 grand a year consistently. 30 grand in a year is so much better than 10 grand in a week, right? Question from RHYS is Nick, are you a market wizard? No, I'm not a market wizard. I'm a wizard though. No, I'm kidding. I think I'm just like, honestly, I don't ever want to be called something like that. I don't ever want to be, deemed as some sort of trading. I don't know. Like, I just want to be a guy who trades like that. And that's fine by me, because I think like that makes it a little bit more relatable to the average person. I think when you call, let me give you, okay. So when you call somebody, I'm going to give myself a wizard hat. When you call yourself, wow, that's a great wizard hat. If you call this guy a wizard, right? Whoever it is, right? If you call somebody a wizard, what you do is you make it seem like he has some sort of magical, mystical, amazing powers to be an incredible trader. But the reality is that that is not true. The average person can trade and actually be successful, in my view, because that's what happened to me. I just put in a tremendous amount of time, and I know that you don't have to be a magician. You don't have to be a genius. You don't have to be a legend to make money in the markets. You just have to be a disciplined person and understand you're not going to get rich quick from this stuff. You're going to look for slow and steady gains, and that's what's going to matter the most. So, that's what I mean. Don't put someone on a pedestal, because then you make it seem like it's impossible for you to do the same, but it's not impossible. You guys, every single person in this chat room has the ability. They have a brain. They have the if you have the willingness, you have the, you're willing to put towards the effort. Look at this stuff long-term. So someone asked me recently in a DM, they asked me, Nick, what's your thoughts on paying for trading education? And it's sort of a mixed opinion. Okay. So, Net Grinders, thank you. That's quite nice of you. Appreciate you. Okay. So I gotta answer this. I know we're going off the trading analysis for just a moment, but listen to this. So somebody asked me about trading education. Trading education. Should you pay for it? What do you guys think? What do you guys think in the chat really quick? Do you think you should pay for trading education? Do you think you should? Do you think you should never? Do you think it depends? Comment really quick what you guys think, because I'm curious. Because I had somebody ask me this question, and I have an opinion on this. I have a pretty strong opinion on this, and it's the way I've set up my entire business, my entire YouTube channel. But I just want to hear from you guys. So a lot of people saying no. A lot of people saying no, nah. Education should be free. If you have extra money, it can be useful. That's a great point. Practice is better. Paying for it includes investing your own capital. Great point. Depends. Yes, it's about the experience. I think you can get it for free on YouTube. No, that's what YouTube is for. Not really. Okay. So bear with me here, because you guys already know. If you watch my channel for a while, those of you guys who already know my answer, I think education should be free. I'm a man of the people. What can I say? I'm kidding. But okay, so education, I think, should totally be free. The reason I think education should be free, so sorry about that. I had to check my phone. So the reason I think education should be free is because we live in a world where there's so many ways to get access to what you need to know, right? There's so much information out there that is, you can just look it up. You can look up, concepts on risk management. You can look up concepts on trading psychology. If you have a brain, you have the ability to ask yourself, what do I struggle with the most? Because let me tell you guys, there's a couple things. Strategy. There is the mental and psychological side of trading. There is the risk management side of trading. Mental, strategy, risk management. Let's see. Testing, which kind of falls under the category of strategy. But you guys, every single one of you guys who are in here watching this stream, if you want to be profitable traders, it starts in your own mind. It's not about getting someone else to tell you how to do it. The thing is, yes, education and services and things that are out there, absolutely can help. But at the end of the day, it's your own mind, it's your own decision making and willingness to like work on you as a trader that's going to make you profitable. These are things to go through. Ask yourself, where do I struggle? I bet you a lot of people struggle right here. I bet you a lot of people struggle up here, but you guys might be surprised. There's a lot of people out there who have a strategy and they've tested it and it's fine, but they don't manage their risk properly. They don't, they don't get their mental game right, because when it actually happens, they're sitting there taking profits too early, or they are struggling with, they can't go to sleep at night because their trades are scaring them, right? There's so many things that are just so dangerous for traders out there, and they struggle with it. So I think you don't need to pay for education. Don't get me wrong. I do sell things. So I'm sitting here telling you, you don't need to pay for things, but I am going to say this. So my answer to the person that asked me this DM made me think, and I was like, no, you don't need to pay for anything. However, there are things out there that can help you. There are things that can improve your journey. And let me tell you what those things are and exactly why, basically I created a service around them. Some of the things that are most helpful to me are collaborations. Does anybody have a trading friend? Does anybody have someone that they chat with? If I'm your trading friend, then I'll draw you a really ugly heart. That's my heart. That is god awful. I'm getting that off the screen. Find someone to collaborate with. And this is what we've created the A1 trading community for, is we bring traders who are like you, who are not into that get rich quick stuff. They're not into that BS nonsense that's sold on the internet. We bring those people together. We kick people out. We don't allow people in who are super spammy and, get rich quick. We have a team of people who moderate the chat room to keep that out of it. So community is a huge thing. Collaborations, those sort of things are so much more valuable than a course, in my opinion, because you collaborate, you chat with other people, you discuss things, and you learn with a friend. Denise says, you're my trading friend. Denise, you're my trading friend as well. Thanks for hanging out. Denise, hope you have a great day today. Thank you for saying that. So collaboration is a huge thing. And the thing is, it's so undervalued. Like my friend Frank, we'll pull up. You guys want to see a picture of Frank? He's a really nice looking young man. That sounds really bad. No, he's my buddy. I can mess with him. Okay. So if I'm looking at the Forex community here really quick, Frank right here. Frank and I have been friends since like we were kids. We grew up together and we both fell in love with markets at the same time. There's a value in finding somebody that is your companion in trading. So I encourage you, if you have somebody, chat with somebody on the regular. It's really helpful for your trading journey to discuss stuff that's going on in your trading. What's going on in your head? I know, like, I would love to sit here and be able to be everyone's personal trading friend, but there's just, it's hard when it's such a big, number of people. So I encourage you, find like a partner, like partner up with somebody who wants to do this stuff and go with it. You're my trading mentor. I ain't no trading mentor. Don't give me that title. I'm not a mentor. I'm not like a teacher. I'm just Nick, and I do this stuff. I trade my money. I trade my stuff, and I have a business around this stuff because I love doing it. I don't want to call myself like a mentor or a teacher or anything like that. I'm just a guy. I created a community for people who want to find other people to work with in this stuff. So I do want to give you guys, it is a sales pitch technically, but it's one that I really, truly believe. I think that collaboration is one of the most valuable things. And that is why if you do have, like I said, if you can totally learn for free and there's no need to like pay expensive prices for courses. But if you are interested in joining our community, if you want to work with someone like myself, if you want to find a partner, we are trying to encourage that inside of our community. And we're actually working on something behind the scenes to get people to partner up and hold each other accountable. If that sounds helpful, I'm telling you, that's the sort of stuff that made me successful as a trader. Talking with Frank almost every day. We would call on the phone and we'd talk for an hour all the time about markets. If collaboration sounds like something that you could use, I encourage you to try out the community. There's a link down below in the description. We're doing a big sale right now. And that's why I'm also hyping it up. If you've been looking to join, now's your chance to do so for 25% off. There's a code YT live down below in the description. If you use that, You'll get into the group as a gold member, and we're doing some really cool stuff. I can't speak too much on it right now, but we are also doing some private talent funding. So I'm not doing it, but we have a partner that we're working with. By the end of the month, they're going to be trying to look for talent to fund traders with money. So not FTMO, another group has partnered up with us, and we're going to be doing some very private funding. So we're looking for traders who are very dedicated, who are very serious and willing to be in our community. Because if you're in there, then it's just a sign of seriousness. But if you're a gold member, we are going to be looking at that as well for potential funding opportunities for some of our better traders or people who are very serious about this, who want to get that next level work with a private mentor. Not myself, but Joe Barreca inside of the group. He's going to be doing some cool stuff there. So I encourage you, check out the link down below in the description. Sign up with us as a gold member if you have any interest. No, it's not 5%ers. You guys, I'm sure you've never heard of it. It's very, very new. And it's a private sort of operation that we're looking to do. We're looking to fund some of our more serious and dedicated traders. So like I said, if you're looking to collaborate, if you're looking to see my trades in real time, there's a value to that as well. I think that signals ain't it. Okay, let's talk about signals. Signals ain't it. Copying other people and just looking for cheat codes in the market is the same as trying to buy a course to just get a simple strategy that's going to make you $1 million. It's nice to think that the Holy Grail is out there, but it's just not. It's hard work. And so for me, I prefer to call it like a trade alert / analysis. So I share all of my trades with analysis. So I'm sharing why I'm entered into the trade. I'm giving you guys updates on why, what's going on, what my thought process is, not for you to copy, but for you to get an idea of what I do and how I do it, as well as some of our other top traders. We have, like I said, Frank is one of those people, a couple other top traders that I've worked with for a long time, who share their ideas and analysis as well. We've also got chat rooms, again, for that collaboration effect. We've got live coaching webinars where we answer questions more intimately with a smaller group, and all sorts of stuff. So definitely check it out if you have any interest in joining us. Now is your chance to do so for a discount with that code down below. With that said, you guys, that's going to wrap it up for today. I know it's kind of a different end to the stream, but I wanted to make it aware to you guys who are serious about joining. Now is your chance, and we're looking for more serious traders for our upcoming funding thing. We're looking for some serious, talented traders to get involved. So with that said, you guys, that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for being a part of today's stream, and we will see you back tomorrow. Have a great rest of your day.